At the beginning of the drama, we are introduced to the main female lead, Jisoo, who works as a salesgirl at a luxury car showroom. To attract wealthy customers, she is forced to act charming and flirtatious because every successful sale earns her a $300 bonus. Although she hates doing it, she desperately needs the money to pay her younger brother Tong's tuition fees. One day, Jisoo notices the drama's main male lead, Mark, a wealthy businessman visiting the showroom. However, Mark has already been observing her from a distance and is far from impressed. Because of his painful past involving his father's remarriage after his mother's death, he has developed a strong dislike for women he believes chase wealthy men for money. Meanwhile, Mark's best friend and secretary, Sun, encourages him to stop judging every woman the same way. After some persuasion, Mark finally sits inside one of the display cars. Seeing her chance, Jisoo quickly joins him and begins explaining the vehicle's features. Mark suddenly accuses her of trying to impress him just to make a sale, and challenges her to do so. Instead of getting flustered, Jisoo calmly places an insurance brochure in front of him and says that if he wants to be impressed, he should buy the insurance package too. Her unexpected response irritates Mark and he walks away. Later, several customers purchase cars, but Jisoo assumes Mark will not. To her surprise, he suddenly buys one, securing her bonus. She is overjoyed, while Mark's father is shocked that his son, who usually avoids women, bought a car after meeting a girl. At the same time, Mark's stepbrother Ling is rejected by a woman at a bar. Hurt by the rejection, he secretly records her outside the women's restroom to ruin her reputation. Unfortunately for him, Tong catches him. A chase follows, ending in a fight so serious that Ling lands in the hospital while Tong is arrested. Elsewhere, Sun teases Mark about buying a car because of a woman. Mark denies having feelings for Jisoo, claiming he only bought the car because she needed the bonus. Soon afterward, Mark overhears a conversation revealing that a businessman named Kang is interested in Jisoo and wants a date arranged with her. The news unexpectedly angers him. Things become even more complicated when Kang arrives. He is Mark's former friend and now a business rival. To make matters worse, Mark's father jokingly suggests that Jisoo may have changed Mark's attitude toward women. Mark immediately responds that women like Jisoo only chase rich men and use their looks for money. Unfortunately, Jisoo overhears every word. Furious, she storms in, throws a drink in Mark's face, and demands to know how he can judge her without knowing anything about her life. Mark coldly replies that women like her would even sell themselves for money. The insult crosses the line, and Jisoo slaps him before declaring that no amount of wealth could ever make her interested in him. Shortly afterward, Jisoo receives a call from the police station and learns that Tong has been arrested. She rushes there but discovers that securing his release will be extremely difficult. Meanwhile, Mark visits the hospital after hearing about Ling's injuries. His stepmother demands punishment for whoever hurt her son, but as Mark investigates, he learns the truth. Ling had secretly filmed a woman, and Tong only fought him to stop it. Mark is surprised to discover that the young man in jail is Jisoo's brother. Realizing Tong acted for the right reason, Mark orders his assistant to close the case before the truth damages the company's reputation. However, Jisoo is told that the authorities still intend to punish her brother. Things become even worse when she learns that Ling's older brother is Mark, the same man she publicly humiliated. At the same time, Mark tries convincing his stepmother to withdraw the case, warning that an investigation would expose Ling's actions. But she refuses to listen and remains determined to punish Tong. With no other choice, Jisoo visits Mark's office and begs for help. Mark, still angry about the slap, decides to take advantage of her desperation. He says he will drop the case only if she spends the night with him. Jisoo is disgusted and leaves immediately. Later, she and her lawyer friend Liang search for evidence proving Tong's innocence. Unfortunately, every useful clue has disappeared because Mark secretly removed the evidence beforehand. With her brother's future on the line, Jisoo eventually appears to accept Mark's offer. When she arrives looking stunning, Mark mocks her, claiming she solves every problem with her beauty. To his surprise, Jisoo agrees and tells him they should begin. But before anything happens, she reveals her real plan. Jisoo presents CCTV footage showing Ling secretly recording women outside the restroom. Mark is stunned. She calmly tells him she wants Tong released on bail in exchange for the video. Otherwise, she will send it to the media and destroy both his family's reputation and company image. Realizing she holds all the power, Mark agrees. But Jisoo is not done yet. She reminds him that releasing Tong only solves one problem. To punish him for his behavior, she records him on her phone, locks him out on a balcony, and leaves him trapped there. Before walking away, she sarcastically reminds him of how badly he wanted to bring her to bed. Soon afterward, Tong is released and returns home safely. Jisoo also sends the footage to Mark. After watching it, Ling's mother becomes furious and scolds her son, warning that his reckless behavior could cost him the family inheritance. The truth is that she has always viewed Ling as a tool for securing the family's fortune. Afterward, life begins returning to normal. Jisoo starts working at a retail store while her close friend, a police officer who secretly loves her, continues helping whenever he can. Meanwhile, a scandal involving inappropriate photos damages Mark's hotel business. Mark immediately suspects Jisoo, causing his resentment toward her to grow. On the other hand, Mark's father, Mr. Hong, personally apologizes to Jisoo for his son's actions and offers her a job as his assistant. She initially refuses. At the same time, Ling's mother secretly monitors her husband and becomes alarmed when she receives photos of him meeting Jisoo. When Mark learns about these meetings, he also becomes suspicious, believing Jisoo is trying to win over his father. Elsewhere, we meet Jisoo's older sister Gogo. Unlike Jisoo, she married a wealthy businessman and enjoys a luxurious lifestyle. However, after her husband cuts off her spending money, she becomes desperate. Hoping to profit from her sister, she pressures Jisoo to get involved with a wealthy, elderly businessman. Jisoo refuses, but her sister reveals another problem. Since Jisoo and her grandmother borrowed money from her in the past, she now demands every cent back within a week and threatens to make their lives miserable if they fail. With no way to raise the money, Jisoo finally accepts Mr. Hong's offer and becomes his assistant. When Sun informs Mark, he is furious. He storms into his father's office and argues with him. Years ago, Mr. Hong hired Ling's mother as an assistant, and she eventually became his wife. Because of that experience, Mark believes Jisoo is following the exact same path. Although Mr. Hong insists not all women are alike, Mark refuses to listen. He vows to expose Jisoo's true intentions and warns her that he does not trust her at all. Wanting a break from everything, Mark travels to an island in Thailand. There, he unexpectedly meets Jisoo's grandmother. The kind-hearted woman treats him like family, and spending time with her helps him relax for the first time in years. After returning, Mark deliberately assigns an important business project to Jisoo, hoping she will fail so he can finally fire her. Meanwhile, Ling's mother becomes convinced that Mr. Hong is paying too much attention to Jisoo and fears he may eventually marry her. As a result, she sends thugs to intimidate Jisoo's grandmother. They warn the elderly woman to tell her granddaughter to stay away from other women, its husbands. Fortunately, Mark arrives and drives the men away. He had been investigating Jisoo's background and happened to be nearby. However, the stress causes Jisoo's grandmother to fall ill. When Jisoo arrives, she immediately assumes Mark is responsible. At that exact moment, Mark makes a shocking discovery. The grandmother he befriended on the island is actually Jisoo's grandmother. Later, after recovering, Jisoo's grandmother explains that Mark was not responsible for the incident. In fact, he was the one who protected her. However, their relief is short-lived when doctors reveal that the elderly woman has a hole in her heart and urgently needs surgery. Since Jisoo is already struggling financially, the news leaves her feeling completely helpless. Around the same time, Mark discovers that Sue was behind the attack on Jisoo's family. He explains that Sue sees every woman near Mr. Hong as a threat. Jisoo insists she has no romantic interest in Mr. Hong and even offers to explain everything to Sue, but Mark warns that doing so will only make things worse. He suggests that she quit working for his father and become his assistant instead. Jisoo refuses and walks away. Unfortunately, rumors soon begin spreading throughout the office about Jisoo and Mr. Hong. The constant gossip frustrates her, while Mark keeps appearing just to annoy her and push her toward accepting his offer. Meanwhile, Mark and Kang compete for an important business tender. As expected, the rivalry turns ugly, but Mark ultimately wins. Kang's father once again compares him unfavorably to Mark, deepening Kang's resentment. Back at work, Jisoo finally loses patience with her gossiping coworkers and firmly puts them in their place. During this time, she also befriends a new intern named Usha. However, when Mark sees them together, he becomes strangely irritated. Later, he warns Usha not to get too close to Jisoo, claiming she only uses people when it benefits her. It is soon revealed that Mark and Usha have known each other since childhood. Mark treats her like a younger sister, but Usha has secretly been in love with him for years. Meanwhile, Mr. Hong visits Jisoo's grandmother in the hospital. Coincidentally, Jisoo's older sister Gogo is there and becomes fascinated by his wealth and status. Later, Mr. Hong privately tells Jisoo that she reminds him of his beloved wife, Mani. At the same time, the audience learns a shocking secret. Mani, Mark's mother, is actually still alive, though neither Mark nor the rest of the family knows it. News of Mr. Hong's hospital visit quickly reaches Sue, making her furious. Ling also learns that Jisoo is causing tension between his parents, so he decides to take revenge by harassing Tong at his workplace. When Mark finds out, he immediately intervenes and stops Ling. However, he then tells Tong about the rumors linking Jisoo and Mr. Hong, claiming they are having an affair. Hearing this, Tong becomes furious. When Jisoo arrives, Tong lashes out before storming away. She quickly realizes Mark was responsible. Instead of denying it, Mark openly admits the truth and blames her for the growing conflict between his parents. Once again, he urges her to leave Mr. Hong and work for him instead. After spending the night thinking about it, Jisoo finally agrees. Mark is genuinely delighted. He immediately hires her as his personal assistant and even doubles her salary. Mr. Hong is furious when he learns what happened. Later, Mark confidently tells Sun that he plans to make Jisoo fall in love with him and prove that women will do anything for money. Sun, however, believes the opposite and says Mark is already in love with her. Naturally, Mark denies it. Despite his words, his actions say otherwise. He moves Jisoo's desk into his office so she works beside him all day. He constantly finds excuses to get close to her, flirts whenever possible, and never misses a chance to make her nervous. He even forces her to eat lunch with him, causing office gossip to spread rapidly. Among everyone watching, Usho suffers the most. Every moment Mark spends with Jisoo makes her jealous and heartbroken. Meanwhile, Mark continues trying to win Jisoo over. He apologizes for his past behavior and gradually becomes kinder. Although Jisoo begins developing feelings for him, she refuses to admit it. Soon, Mark sends several expensive designer bags to her house. Instead of keeping them, Jisoo distributes them to her coworkers and announces they are gifts from their generous boss. The employees are thrilled, while Mark is left speechless. Later, he confronts her about it and finally admits that he likes her. Jisoo pretends not to understand. She points out that many men have claimed to like her before, when all they really wanted was her body. Mark insists he is different and promises to prove it. When Sun hears about the confession, he again tells Mark that he has truly fallen in love. Once again, Mark refuses to accept it. The following day, Jisoo's police officer friend drops her off at work. Mark becomes extremely jealous. Unable to control himself, he deliberately leaves her with a mountain of work while taking someone else to an important meeting. Meanwhile, tragedy strikes. Jisoo's grandmother suddenly collapses from severe chest pain. Tong rushes her to the hospital, and when Jisoo receives the news, she leaves work immediately. In her panic, she runs into the path of Mr. Hong's car and injures her leg. After learning what happened, Mr. Hong insists on taking her to the hospital himself. Unfortunately, Sue learns about this and secretly photographs them together before sending the pictures to Mark. The moment Mark sees them, he jumps to the wrong conclusion and becomes furious, believing Jisoo skipped work to spend time with his father. At the hospital, doctors delivered devastating news. The grandmother's condition has worsened and surgery is now urgently required. Overwhelmed, Jisoo breaks down in tears. Out of desperation, she calls Gogo and begs for financial help. Instead of helping, her sister refuses and cruelly suggests that if Jisoo needs money so badly, she should sell her body. The cruel words completely shatter her. Fortunately, the surgery is eventually performed. Later, when Gogo visits, their grandmother thanks her for paying the medical expenses. Confused, Gogo assumes her husband secretly covered the costs and begins suspecting he has feelings for Jisoo. In reality, Jisoo had secured a bank loan and used it to pay for the surgery. She only lied to protect her grandmother from worrying. The next day, Jisoo returns to work intending to explain her sudden absence. Before she can speak, Mark dismisses the issue and piles even more work on her. After working non-stop, Jisoo becomes exhausted and nearly collapses. Mark rushes to catch her, but they both lose their balance and accidentally kiss. The unexpected moment leaves Jisoo completely flustered, while Mark seems far too pleased about it. Embarrassed, Jisoo storms outside. At that exact moment, Gogo arrives and immediately slaps her in front of everyone. She accuses Jisoo of seducing her husband and destroying her marriage. Jisoo desperately denies the accusation, but Gogo refuses to listen. Mark is about to step in, but Usha initially stops him, saying it is a family matter. However, when Gogo tries attacking Jisoo again, Mark finally intervenes and orders her to leave the company. Afterward, Mark learns the truth. He discovers that Jisoo took on a massive loan to save her grandmother's life. life. For the first time, he fully understands how much pressure she has been carrying. Not long later, Jisoo receives a shocking surprise at the hospital. Mark has secretly paid all of her grandmother's medical bills. Because of their history, Jisoo immediately assumes he wants something in return. She confronts him and bluntly says that if he expects her to sleep with him because of the money, he is mistaken. Mark is stunned. He explains that he helped because he genuinely cares about her grandmother and openly admits that he likes Jisoo. Even so, Jisoo refuses to trust him and insists on repaying every cent. Eventually, Mark agrees to deduct the money from her salary each month, which finally reassures her. However, the peace does not last. Soon afterward, the two find themselves alone in an elevator. As usual, Mark starts flirting with her and suddenly kisses her without warning. Jisoo is shocked and immediately pushes him away. She accuses him of helping her only because he expected romantic rewards. Mark insists she is misunderstanding him and even jokes that next time he will ask permission first. Jisoo is not amused. She tells him to stay away from her and storms off. Yet, despite everything, Mark continues pursuing her whenever he gets the chance, and from Jisoo's reactions, it is becoming increasingly clear that she has started falling for him as well, even though she refuses to admit it. A few days later, Mark takes Jisoo to an exclusive private party and arranges a complete makeover for her beforehand. When he sees the final result, he is completely captivated. After placing an expensive necklace around her neck, he spends the entire evening flirting with her, making it harder than ever for Jisoo to resist him. At the party, Kang is also present. The moment he sees Jisoo, he begins praising her beauty, instantly triggering Mark's jealousy. The situation becomes even worse when Sun compliments her as well. Mark cannot stand seeing every man in the room admiring the woman he brought there. Meanwhile, Mr. Hong and Usha are also attending the event, and neither is happy to see Mark and Jisoo together. Soon, Soo tries to publicly humiliate Jisoo. However, Jisoo confidently stands up for herself, and to everyone's surprise, Kang even comes to her defense. Feeling uncomfortable with all the attention, Jisoo steps outside for some fresh air. Kang follows her and starts a harmless conversation. At the same time, Mark realizes she is gone. When Usha tells him that Jisoo is outside with Kang, his jealousy explodes. He immediately rushes outside, pulls Kang away, and warns him to stay away from Jisoo. Then he shocks both of them by declaring that Jisoo belongs to him. Naturally, another argument breaks out between the rivals. Eventually, Jisoo drags Mark away and demands to know why he is acting so irrationally. Blinded by jealousy, Mark asks how much Kang offered her for a night and claims he can pay double. The accusation infuriates Jisoo and she slaps him. In anger, Mark grabs her and kisses her forcefully. Furious, she slaps him again. This time, Mark realizes he has crossed the line. He sincerely apologizes and admits that seeing her with Kang makes him lose control. Before they can continue talking, Mark receives an urgent phone call and rushes away with Jisoo. The reason is that Tong and Ling have gotten into another violent fight. This time, Ling severely beats Tong before Mark and Jisoo arrive. Tong is rushed to the hospital, while Mark becomes furious with Ling. When Ling accuses him of choosing Jisoo over his own family, Mark firmly denies it and publicly confirms that Jisoo has no relationship with Mr. Hong. He also tells Ling that if he truly wants to change, he must take responsibility for his actions and surrender to the police. For the first time, Ling listens and turns himself in. Meanwhile, Soo learns that her son has been jailed. Enraged, she gathers several thugs and heads straight to Jisoo's house, where she threatens her family and demands that the case be dropped. Jisoo refuses to back down. Fortunately, Mark arrives in time, drives the thugs away, and warns Soo that if she ever harms Jisoo again, he will expose all her secrets to Mr. Hong. After Soo leaves, Mark checks on Jisoo and promises that he will protect her family from now on. However, Jisoo believes the safest solution is for their families to stay away from each other. Later, while visiting Tong in the hospital, Jisoo overhears Ling threatening him over the phone. The threat deeply worries her and convinces her that staying connected to Mark's family will only bring more trouble. The next day, she submits her resignation to Mr. Hong. When Mark learns about it, he immediately tracks her down at the hospital and demands an explanation. Jisoo finally tells him the truth about Ling's latest threat and explains that she wants to keep her family safe. Soon afterward, Nancy offers Jisoo a job helping with the opening of a new salon, and she gladly accepts. At the grand opening, Jisoo quickly becomes the center of attention. Thanks to her beauty and personality, nearly every male customer wants her to personally assist them. Unfortunately, Mark is watching. Seeing so many men around her drives him crazy with jealousy, and he starts chasing customers away. He even spends a huge amount of money so Jisoo will wash his hair. However, when he closes his eyes expecting Jisoo's touch, he later discovers that Nancy is the one standing behind him. At the same time, Jisoo is assisting Kang. As usual, Kang tries convincing her to join his company. Before she can respond, Mark appears and tries dragging her away. Kang immediately reminds him that he paid for her services and that she is still working. The argument quickly escalates. Mark offers Jisoo 10 times more money to return to his company. She refuses, and when he brings up the loan she still owes him, Kang steps in and offers to pay off all her debts if Mark agrees to leave her alone. Naturally, another confrontation breaks out between the two rivals. Jisoo eventually stops them, but the conflict continues when Mark challenges Kang to a race. The terms are simple. If Mark wins, Jisoo returns to his company. If Kang wins, she joins his. The race begins, and Mark leads most of the way. However, near the finish line, his car suddenly malfunctions, allowing Kang to win. Surprisingly, Jisoo feels disappointed seeing Mark lose. Later, Kang once again asks her to join his company. Instead of answering, Jisoo goes to check on Mark. She finds him alone and asks if he is all right. Mark coldly tells her to return to Kang, but she refuses. Finally, he opens up and admits that he wants her nearby because he promised to protect her. If she is not beside him, he cannot keep that promise. His honesty touches her deeply. Feeling guilty for hurting him, Jisoo finally agrees to return to his company. Mark is overjoyed. Not long afterward, the truth comes out. Kang had secretly sabotaged Mark's car to ensure his victory, but despite winning the race, he still failed to separate Mark and Jisoo. When Jisoo returns to work, Usha becomes furious. She had spent the day hoping to catch Mark's attention only to watch him arrive holding Jisoo's hand. Although they later let go, the damage is already done. In reality, Mark and Jisoo have agreed to pretend to be a couple so that Soo and Ling stop suspecting Jisoo of having feelings for Mr. Hong. Of course, Mark secretly wishes the relationship were real. The fake romance quickly becomes office gossip, and many employees jokingly call Usha the third wheel. The constant comments leave her heartbroken. Eventually, she runs home in tears and begs her father to help her win Mark's heart. Meanwhile, Mark and Jisoo visit Jisoo's grandmother. Gogo is surprisingly pleased to see them together because she still believes her husband likes Jisoo. In her mind, Mark and Jisoo becoming a real couple would solve several problems at once. Determined to help, Gogo begins playing matchmaker. Soon afterward, Usha's parents invite Mr. Hong to dinner and suggest arranging a marriage between Usha and Mark. To their surprise, Mr. Hong reacts positively. Unfortunately, Ling overhears the conversation. The news devastates him because he has secretly loved Usha since childhood. Unable to keep his feelings hidden any longer, he confesses to her and begs her not to marry Mark. However, Usha gently rejects him and admits that she loves Mark. The rejection completely breaks Ling's heart. Meanwhile, Mr. Hong informs Mark about the proposed marriage. Mark immediately rejects the idea, insisting that he has always viewed Usha as a younger sister. He openly declares that the only woman he loves is Jisoo. He also accuses his father of using the marriage proposal to separate them before storming out. Later, Mark seeks advice from Sun. Since Jisoo still refuses to fully accept his feelings, Sun suggests getting help from Gogo, who already supports their relationship. Mark immediately contacts her and asks her to convince Jisoo to join him on a trip to an island. Gogo happily agrees. Using her son as leverage, she persuades Jisoo to come along. Unable to refuse her nephew, Jisoo finally accepts. Soon, she arrives on the island with Mark. However, after arriving, she learns that Gogo and her husband have supposedly been delayed and will not arrive until the next day. The situation immediately makes her suspicious. Meanwhile, Mark spends his time playing with local children and helping villagers. As Jisoo watches him, she starts seeing a completely different side of him. An elderly woman later reveals that Mark regularly supports local families and is even planning to build a resort to create jobs for the community. The revelation leaves a strong impression on Jisoo. For the first time, she begins seeing Mark as a genuinely kind and caring person, rather than the arrogant businessman she once hated. Naturally, Mark takes advantage of the opportunity. Throughout the trip, he spends as much time with her as possible, creating countless sweet and romantic moments together. At one point, he secretly uploads photos of himself and Jisoo to the company group chat. His goal is simple. If enough people believe they are dating, his father may abandon the idea of marrying him to Usha. However, the photos create new problems. When Usha sees them, she becomes extremely jealous and starts throwing childish tantrums. Worse still, her father decides to remove Jisoo from the picture and secretly hires thugs. Surprisingly, Soo reacts very differently. She actually likes the idea of Mark ending up with Jisoo because it could open the door for Usha to marry Ling, which would greatly benefit her family. The following day, Jisoo heads out to pick up Gogo. Unfortunately, this is exactly when the hired thugs make their move. Elsewhere, Mark suddenly realizes that nobody knows where Jisoo is. The moment he learns she has disappeared, he becomes worried and immediately starts searching for her. Meanwhile, the hired thugs corner Jisoo and prepare to attack her. Just as the situation turns dangerous, Mark arrives in time and rescues her. Frightened by his sudden appearance, the thugs flee immediately. The terrifying experience leaves Jisoo shaken. Without thinking, she throws her arms around Mark and hugs him tightly. Mark gently comforts her and promises that as long as he is around, she has nothing to fear. Later, Gogo decides to push her matchmaking efforts even further. She sends Mark and Jisoo out alone on a boat ride, hoping they will finally clear up their misunderstandings and confess their feelings. Meanwhile, a major secret is revealed. Gogo's husband Shruti is actually having an affair with his secretary. Ironically, while Gogo has spent all this time worrying that he likes Jisoo, he has been involved with another woman all along. Back on the boat, Mark and Jisoo share stories about their childhoods and painful pasts. Mark talks about his missing mother, while Jisoo opens up about losing her parents. The emotional conversation brings them closer than ever. Wanting to comfort her, Mark gently pulls her into a hug. However, Jisoo steps back and says something that completely catches him off guard. She admits that she does not fully trust his feelings. According to Jisoo, Mark originally approached her because he wanted to win his battle against his father. In her eyes, she has always been a weapon in that conflict rather than someone he truly loves. Her words hit Mark hard. For the first time, he openly admits the truth. He confesses that he did have selfish motives in the beginning, but somewhere along the way, everything changed. He tells Jisoo that he genuinely loves her now, regrets all the pain he caused, and wants to spend the rest of his life with her. When he asks her to stop running from her feelings, Jisoo can no longer deny her own emotions. Finally, she accepts his confession, and the two officially become a couple. The drama then treats us to several romantic moments as they enjoy their time together on the island. Not long afterward, Mark proposes with a ring, and Jisoo happily accepts. For the first time, both of them seem truly happy. However, there is a hidden problem. After they leave, Gogo retrieves a secret camera she planted on the boat. It turns out she secretly recorded their private moments and saves the footage as an MMS video, intending to use it if necessary someday. Later that night, Jisoo excitedly tells her grandmother that she and Mark are officially dating. Fortunately, her grandmother fully supports the relationship. Meanwhile, Mark misses Jisoo so much that he calls her after only a few hours apart. During their conversation, he says he wants to tell Mr. Hong about their relationship so that his father will finally stop interfering in her life. However, Jisoo disagrees. She explains that Mr. Hong does not have romantic feelings for her at all. The only reason he cares about her is because she reminds him of Mani, Mark's missing mother. Hearing this surprises Mark and makes him realize how deeply his father still misses her. The next day, Usha secretly approaches Kang and proposes an alliance. Since she wants Mark and Kang wants Jisoo, they agree to work together to separate the couple. Soon afterward, Kang spreads rumors throughout the company that Mark and Usha are engaged. The news spreads rapidly. When Jisoo hears it, she is devastated. Before she can get answers, Mr. Hong calls her into his office. There, he shows her the photos Mark shared from the island and claims that Mark does not truly love her. According to him, Mark is only using her to compete with his father. The words deeply wound Jisoo. Meanwhile, Mark discovers that Kang is responsible for the engagement rumors. Furious, he confronts him, and another fight breaks out before Sun manages to separate them. Mark immediately tries explaining everything to Jisoo, but she refuses to listen. From her perspective, Mark humiliated her in the past, exposed their relationship through the company photos, and now engagement rumors are spreading everywhere. No matter how much he apologizes, she walks away. Meanwhile, Shruti tells Gogo that Mark and Usha's engagement has already been arranged and advises her to stop interfering in Jisoo's life. Unfortunately, Gogo completely misunderstands the situation. Believing her husband is once again defending Jisoo, she becomes jealous and suspicious. The next morning, she goes directly to Mark's house and mistakenly assumes Sue is Mark's biological mother. She reveals that Mark is secretly dating her younger sister and claims she has proof. Secretly delighted, Sue pretends to be concerned and says that Mr. Hong will never believe such accusations without evidence. She convinces Gogo to hand over the MMS recording. At first, Gogo hesitates, but when Sue offers her a huge check, she gives up the video. The very next day, disaster strikes. The MMS footage is leaked publicly and begins airing everywhere. Gogo is horrified when she realizes what has happened. Unfortunately, Jisoo's grandmother also sees the scandal. The shock is too much for her weakened heart. When Gogo confronts Sue, Sue coldly admits she does not care who gets hurt. She even reveals that Mark is not her biological son and means nothing to her. At that moment, grandmother realizes that Gogo helped cause the entire disaster. Heartbroken, she asks how her own granddaughter could betray her sister like this. Instead of accepting responsibility, Gogo insists she acted for Jisoo's benefit. The argument escalates. While defending herself, Gogo pushes grandmother, causing her condition to suddenly become critical. Shockingly, she does nothing to help. At the same time, Tong discovers the scandal online and rushes home after hearing shouting inside the house. He finds grandmother in terrible condition and immediately takes action. Meanwhile, Jisoo's coworkers show her the leaked video and begin insulting her. Completely devastated, she receives a call from Tong and rushes to the hospital. There, doctors deliver the worst possible news. Despite their efforts, grandmother could not be saved. The loss completely shatters both Jisoo and Tong. Rather than admitting her own role in the tragedy, Gogo blames everything on Jisoo, claiming that the scandal caused grandmother's death. Around the same time, Mark learns about the leaked video and rushes to the hospital. The moment Jisoo sees him, she slaps him across the face. Through tears, she accuses him of destroying her life and taking away the person she loved most. Mark desperately insists he had nothing to do with the leak, but Jisoo is too heartbroken to believe him. Overwhelmed by grief, she collapses. Tong then punches Mark and orders him to stay away from his sister. Later, during grandmother's funeral, Kang remains by Jisoo's side and promises to help her whenever she needs it. Mark also attends because he genuinely cared about grandmother, but Tong refuses to let him enter and repeatedly attacks him. Mark never fights back. Instead, he quietly accepts every blow and continues apologizing. Eventually, Jisoo arrives and ends the confrontation. Then she says something that completely destroys Mark. She tells him that whatever relationship they once had died along with her grandmother. Removing her engagement ring, she throws it back at him. Even then, Mark insists he is innocent, but Jisoo no longer believes a single word. She tells him to leave and never show his face again. Heartbroken, Mark quietly walks away. After the funeral, Jisoo stands before her grandmother's memorial and swears that she will make Mark pay for everything. Soon afterward, she asks Kang for help in taking revenge on him. Kang immediately agrees. Then Jisoo and Tong leave the city with Kang, disappearing from Mark's life completely. For years, Mark searches for her. He repeatedly visits her old home and never stops hoping she will return. Then 4 years pass. When the story resumes, Jisoo finally returns to the city. However, she is no longer the same woman. She is stronger, more confident, and completely independent. She arrives with a 4-year-old boy named Pen, and with Kang by her side. To everyone around them, they appear to be a happy family. But there is a huge secret. Pen is not Kang's son. He is actually Mark's child. Even though Kang knows the truth, he has raised Pen as his own son for years. Coincidentally, Mark is also at the airport that day. For a brief moment, he mistakes another woman for Jisoo and rushes toward her, only to realize his mistake. When Sun asks how long he plans to keep searching, Mark refuses to give up. He remains convinced that Jisoo is still out there. Later, we learn that Usha is now officially engaged to Mark. A flashback reveals why. Years earlier, Usha's father used photos of Jisoo to blackmail Mark. He threatened to make Jisoo's life miserable unless Mark agreed to the engagement. To protect her, Mark reluctantly accepted. Even after 4 years, Jisoo remains the only woman he has ever loved. Meanwhile, Usha realizes that despite being engaged, Mark has never truly cared about her. Heartbroken, she turns to alcohol. Ling, who has loved her for years, continues supporting her, but she still only thinks about Mark. Then, everything changes. Mark finally learns that Jisoo has returned. The very next day, while preparing for an important business meeting, he unexpectedly sees her. The moment he spots Jisoo after 4 long years, he forgets everything else and follows her. Standing in front of her again, he is overwhelmed with emotion. He immediately asks how she has been, whether she is all right, and tells her how much he missed her. Jisoo simply stands there silently, listening. Meanwhile, Sun becomes worried when Mark suddenly disappears before the meeting. At the same time, Kang arrives as well, because he has come to meet the exact same client. Soon, the client arrives. Kang greets him professionally and starts discussing business. The client had actually come to meet Mark, but after waiting for a long time without seeing him, he decides Mark is irresponsible and chooses to work with Kang instead. Meanwhile, Mark continues talking with Jisoo. He asks where she has been all these years and insists that he was never responsible for what happened in the past. Jisoo calmly says she no longer wants to dwell on old memories. She needed time to heal and move on. She then asks about his life and mentions hearing that he is engaged to Usha. Mark quickly explains that the engagement was forced on him. He admits that he still loves only Jisoo and says he is willing to break off the engagement now that she has returned. His words make Jisoo furious. To her, he sounds like a man willing to use Usha for his own benefit. However, she hides her feelings and secretly records the entire conversation. In truth, Jisoo arranged this meeting on purpose. She wanted Mark to miss the client meeting so Kang could win the project, and her plan succeeds perfectly. While Mark spends his time with Jisoo, Kang secures the deal. Once she confirms her success, Jisoo prepares to leave. Mark immediately asks where she is going after they have finally reunited. Jisoo tells him she will be staying in the city and gives him her phone number, saying he can call if he misses her. Mark watches her leave with a smile full of affection. Later, Mark's father scolds him for losing such an important project, but Mark barely listens. He is too busy thinking about Jisoo's return. Even his father notices the smile on his face. Still, he orders Mark to win the project back no matter what. Later, Mark visits Jisoo's old house, only to discover she no longer lives there. Confused, he wonders where she is staying. That night, Kang asks Jisoo whether she wants to stop her revenge and return to the United States. Jisoo refuses. She says she cannot quit halfway through, especially after everything Kang has done for her. A flashback reveals that after leaving the city, Jisoo, Tong, and Kang moved to the United States. Kang paid for their education and supported them financially. Jisoo promised to repay him someday. However, Kang had his own reasons for helping her. He wanted revenge against Mark and had also fallen in love with Jisoo. Although he confessed his feelings, she never gave him an answer. Later, Kang discovered she was pregnant with Mark's child. Instead of abandoning her, he supported her decision to keep the baby. He even proposed marriage so the child could have a father, and both mother and son would be protected from society's judgment. That was why Jisoo eventually married him. Back in the present, Kang tells her that once everything is over, he still hopes she will answer his feelings someday. Jisoo remains silent. Soon, Kang puts Jisoo in charge of their new project and then spends time playing with Pen. Watching Kang and Pen together fills Jisoo with warmth. The next day, the whole family visits a shopping mall. Coincidentally, Mark is there as well, hoping to meet the client again. At first, the client ignores him, but after hearing Mark's new proposal, he agrees to give him another chance. Meanwhile, Jisoo's aunt is looking after Pen. When she briefly leaves to buy food, Pen wanders off in search of his mother and nearly falls. Fortunately, Mark catches him just in time. Trying to find the boy's guardian, Mark places Pen on his shoulders and walks through the mall with him. At the same time, Jisoo realizes Pen is missing and panics. Eventually, she spots Pen with Mark and immediately becomes nervous. She orders her aunt to bring him back before Mark discovers the truth. The aunt quickly takes Pen away and warns Mark to stay away from her grandson. When Mark comments that her son is already married, she coldly replies that it's none of his business before leaving. Relieved to have Pen back, Jisoo finally calms down. That night, Kang tells Jisoo it is time to reveal a version of the truth. If Mark learns she has a son, he might realize Pen is his child. Therefore, before that happens, they should publicly announce that Jisoo is Kang's wife and Pen is Kang's son. Jisoo agrees. The following day, a charity event is held. Mark attends with Usha, but when Kang arrives with Jisoo and Pen, everyone is stunned. Mark is devastated. Seeing Jisoo as Kang's wife is painful enough, but learning that Pen is supposedly their son shocks him even more. Later, Mark and Usha are invited on stage. During his speech, Mark talks mostly about Jisoo and how she changed his life, while cleverly pretending those feelings are about Usha. Jisoo listens silently. Then she plays the recording she secretly made, the one where Mark admitted he still loved her and wanted to end his engagement. The hall falls silent. Everyone is shocked. Reporters immediately surround Mark and Usha. Humiliated, Usha runs away. At that moment, Mark finally understands. Jisoo did not return because she missed him. She came back for revenge. After the event, Mark corners Jisoo and demands answers. Heartbroken, he asks how she could marry Kang and build a family without telling him anything. He reminds her that he spent 4 years searching for her. Then he asks what he ever did to deserve this. Jisoo explodes with anger. She reminds him that her grandmother died because of the MMS scandal. Branded a disgrace, Jisoo never got the chance to explain the truth before her grandmother passed away. Just as she never got to defend herself, she says Mark won't get that chance either. Mark once again insists he was never behind the MMS incident, but Jisoo refuses to believe him. Instead, she promises to destroy his life and walks away. Mark is left devastated, realizing she still sees him as the villain. Meanwhile, Usha returns to her hotel room and drinks heavily. Ling stays with her. As she cries about Mark's inability to love her, Sun finally confesses his own feelings. He asks why she keeps chasing a man who will never choose her. Overwhelmed, Usha kisses him. One thing leads to another, and they spend the night together. The next morning, however, Usha tells him to forget everything that happened and leaves. Sun is left heartbroken. Meanwhile, Mark learns that the restaurant he wanted to buy is no longer available because Kang is interested in purchasing it as well. Furious, Mark decides to negotiate personally. Unfortunately, the owner refuses to sell. Soon afterward, Jisoo arrives and explains that she is representing Kang's company. The owner's son reveals that the restaurant contains memories of his late mother. His father wants it to go to someone who will truly care for it. Both Mark and Jisoo promise to do exactly that. Later, Mark privately tells Jisoo that she married Kang only for revenge and that there is no love in their marriage. He even says he feels sorry for Pen because he was born into a loveless family. Jisoo immediately slaps him. She warns him never to insult her son again and angrily declares that Pen is the symbol of her love with Kang. Mark is left stunned. Determined to win, both Mark and Jisoo work hard to impress the owner. During one challenge, Jisoo gets onion juice in her eyes while preparing a salad. Mark instinctively helps her, creating an awkward moment that reminds them of their past chemistry. The owner tastes their dishes and announces that both have passed the round, though tougher challenges await. Later, Liang and Tong arrive with Pen because he insisted on seeing his mother. When Mark tries to pick him up, Jisoo immediately stops him. As everyone sits together, Mark and Jisoo begin bickering like children. At one point, Liang almost reveals Pen's true identity, but quickly changes the subject. Meanwhile, Mark grows closer to Pen, and the boy enjoys his company as well. Unfortunately, Jisoo hates seeing them together. Later, while Pen is alone, Mark spends more time with him and begins feeling an unexplainable connection. Deep down, he starts suspecting that Pen may actually be his son. When Jisoo sees them together again, she pulls Pen away and warns Mark to stay away from her child. Later, Mark shares his suspicions with Sun. Pen looks like him, not Kang. He is 4 years old, and Jisoo left exactly 4 years ago. The timeline fits perfectly. Sun tells him he needs proof. The next day, Jisoo takes Pen out for ice cream. When someone claims her car has been hit, she briefly leaves Pen alone to check. The moment she is gone, Mark appears and secretly collects a DNA sample from Pen. A short time later, Sun brings him the test results. The report confirms the truth. Pen is his biological son. Overcome with emotion, Mark immediately confronts Jisoo and shows her the DNA report. He tells her that Pen is not only her son, he is his son too. Jisoo is furious. She says she could sue him for conducting a DNA test without her permission. Mark calmly replies that she can do whatever she wants, because now he wants the whole world to know that Pen is his child. Just then, Kang steps forward. He calmly reminds Mark that a child belongs first and foremost to his mother. He also points out that although Mark may be Pen's biological father, Pen's birth certificate officially lists Kang as his father. Hearing that, Mark loses his temper and declares that he is taking his son with him right now. He rushes inside, but Kang immediately stops him, and the situation quickly turns into a fight. Before things get worse, Jisoo intervenes. She asks Mark to think about Pen. Since birth, Pen has believed Kang is his father. If the truth comes out suddenly, it will only confuse and hurt the child. Jisoo explains that Pen is happy and living with a complete family. She asks whether Mark really wants to destroy that peace. After hearing her words, Mark finally calms down. He agrees not to reveal the truth, but begs for one thing. If he cannot be Pen's father, then at least let him remain in his life as an uncle. However, Jisoo refuses. Later, Jisoo meets Liang and tells him that Mark already knows Pen is his son. Liang points out that she cannot keep a father and son apart forever. Doing so will only create bigger problems in the future. While they are talking, Jisoo receives a call from Usha. Usha openly threatens her, warning that if she does not stay away from Mark, both she and Pen will suffer. The threat terrifies Jisoo because this time, it is not her own safety she fears for, it is Pen's. As a result, she immediately meets Mark and tells him everything. She reveals that Usha has been blackmailing her and threatening their son. Jisoo says she can endure anything herself, but she will never allow anyone to hurt Pen. Mark immediately promises to protect them both. Afterward, he confronts Usha and angrily asks how she dared threaten Jisoo and Pen. But Usha remains calm. She reveals her real weapon, her father. According to her, if Mark refuses to marry her, her father will make Jisoo's and Pen's lives miserable. For the first time, Mark becomes genuinely afraid, not for himself but for the people he loves. To keep Jisoo and Pen safe, Mark reluctantly agrees to marry Usha. When Jisoo hears about his decision, she is far from pleased. Later, she spends time with Kang and Pen like a happy family, while Mark watches from afar. Seeing his son call another man father breaks his heart, yet he forces himself to walk away for their safety. As he leaves, Jisoo stops him. She mentions hearing that his wedding has been finalized. Mark confirms it and explains that he had no other choice. He tells her he will never disturb her again because she and Pen seem happy without him. After saying goodbye, he walks away. For the first time, Jisoo feels sorry for him. Meanwhile, Ling comes home drunk and angrily confronts Mark for breaking his promise not to marry Usha. In his rage, he even starts hitting him. Mark finally explains that he never wanted this marriage but was forced into it. Hearing the truth, Ling breaks down. Before leaving, Mark promises that even after marrying Usha, he will never accept her as his wife. Soon, the wedding day arrives. While everyone celebrates, Mark looks completely miserable. Even then, Usha keeps threatening him, forcing him to smile and act happy in front of the guests. Later, Jisoo arrives with Kang. Usha tries to mock her, but Jisoo's sharp response leaves her speechless. Eventually, the ceremony is completed. On one side, Jisoo secretly suffers in silence. On the other, Ling cries as the woman he loves marries someone else. That night, Usha aggressively tries to force intimacy on Mark. Disgusted, Mark throws her into a pool and warns her not to humiliate herself any further before walking away. The next day, Mark travels outside the city to inspect a piece of land. The owner, Dek, informs him that the property has already been purchased. To Mark's surprise, the buyer is Jisoo. After Dek leaves, Mark suddenly hugs her from behind. Shocked, Jisoo asks whether he has gone mad because they are both married. Mark asks if she hates him so much that she wants to defeat him in everything. Jisoo coldly replies that she doesn't want to defeat him. She wants to destroy him. Then she walks away. Meanwhile, Jisoo's sister secretly meets Sue and blackmails her with information about the MMS scandal. To keep her quiet, Sue pays her a large amount of money. Unfortunately for them, Liang overhears everything. At the same time, while driving home, Mark notices a broken-down car and stops to help. To his shock, the woman inside is his mother. Unable to believe his eyes, he asks if she is really alive. However, when she sees him, she suffers a severe headache and cannot recognize him. Just then, Jisoo and Dech arrive. Only then does Jisoo learn that this woman is Mark's missing mother. As Mark's mother looks at him, fragments of memories return and she suddenly hugs him. Soon, everyone gathers at Dech's house. Mark desperately asks why she disappeared all those years ago. She explains that she lost much of her memory and remembers very little. However, she clearly remembers one thing. She never abandoned her family. Someone attacked her, and if Dech had not saved her, she would have died. This revelation shocks Mark. Realizing someone may have tried to murder his mother, he decides to investigate. Later, Mark secretly brings his father to meet her. The reunion is emotional, though she remembers none of it. During the conversation, she recalls that 20 years ago, Usha's mother once confronted her because she suspected an affair involving her husband. After the misunderstanding was cleared up, Usha's mother left. Soon afterward, a mysterious man attacked her. Although Mani believes Usha's mother was innocent, Mr. Hong becomes furious and vows to uncover the truth. Meanwhile, Liang, Tong, and Sun finally corner Jisoo's sister and force her to confess. At last, the truth comes out. She admits that she created the MMS video. However, she was not the one who leaked it. The person who released it was Sue. Everyone is stunned. Soon afterward, Jisoo and Mark learn the truth and confront the sister. Even then, she tries to justify her actions, claiming she did it for Jisoo's own good. Those words make Jisoo explode with anger. She slaps her and reminds her that because of that video, their grandmother died. For 4 years, she blamed herself, only to discover that her own sister was responsible for destroying her life. She cuts all ties with her and walks away. Outside, Jisoo is overwhelmed with regret. She realizes that if she had trusted Mark 4 years ago, they could have been living happily with their son. Later, Mark and Jisoo talk alone. Mark says that if she had believed him, they would have been a family today. Through tears, Jisoo apologizes. Mark hugs her and admits that he still loves her. He asks her to divorce Kang and return to him. He promises that he will divorce Usha as well so they can raise Pen together. But Jisoo refuses. She explains that Kang stood by her when nobody else did. He protected her, supported her, and gave Pen a father's name. Most importantly, she does not want to hurt Pen. Mark is left speechless. Just then, Kang arrives with Pen. The moment Mark sees his son, he wants to shower him with affection. But Kang quickly intervenes and takes Jisoo and Pen away. Watching them leave, Mark silently vows to win his family back. Later, Mark confronts Sue. He is so furious that he is ready to attack her. However, Ling steps in and protects his mother. It turns out Sue has already convinced her son that she leaked the video for his future, so that Usha would choose him instead of Mark. Even though Mark is enraged, Sue hides safely behind Ling. The next day, Mark picks Pen up from school and takes him out for ice cream. Although Jisoo dislikes how close they are becoming, she can no longer bring herself to stop them. Meanwhile, Kang secretly has people watching Jisoo. They send him photos of her spending time with Mark. Later that evening, Pen excitedly tells Kang all about his day with Mark. After hearing everything, Kang asks Jisoo a direct question. Does she still want revenge on Mark? For the first time, Jisoo tells the truth. She admits that she no longer wants revenge because Mark was innocent all along. She misunderstood him and is finally ready to let go of the past. Then she tells Kang that he deserves happiness too. Kang is stunned. He says that she and Pen are his happiness and asks whether she wants to return to Mark. Jisoo replies that she can never fully return to Mark, but she also cannot continue living as Kang's wife when she does not love him. She says she doesn't want to keep trapping him in a loveless marriage. Kang reminds her that he has loved her for years and has waited patiently for her answer. But Jisoo has already made her decision. She tells him that she will not force a divorce on him, but she can no longer live under the same roof as his wife. After apologizing, she walks away. Kang is left completely heartbroken. After that, Jisoo moves back into her old house with Pen. What she doesn't know is that Mark, Sun, and Liang have completely renovated and decorated the house for her return. Seeing it fills her with happiness. However, she still wants to keep her distance from Mark and turns to leave. Mark stops her. In the heat of the moment, he suddenly kisses her. Unable to suppress her feelings any longer, Jisoo responds and the two share a romantic moment. Unfortunately, Kang arrives just in time to witness everything. Furious, he turns away. Jisoo immediately pulls back and reminds Mark that they are both married. Their lives have changed too much, and she believes they can never truly return to the past. Then she leaves. That night, Mark has a heartfelt conversation with his father. His father apologizes for failing him and admits he never fulfilled his responsibilities properly. For the first time, all the misunderstandings between them are resolved. Outside, Sue secretly overhears the conversation and learns a terrifying truth. Mani is still alive. Sue is horrified because she was the one responsible for making Mani disappear 20 years ago. Driven by fear, she rushes to Dech's farm and sees Mani alive with her own eyes. Shocked, she confronts Dong and demands to know how Mani could still be alive. At this point, the truth about the past is finally revealed. Years ago, Sue was secretly involved with Usha's father. Realizing he would never marry her, she began plotting to become Mr. Hong's wife instead. Around the same time, Usha's mother discovered her husband's affair. Together with Dong, a scheme was created to make it look like Mani was having an affair with Usha's father. Since Dong was his trusted right-hand man, he easily accepted money to help frame her. However, before anything happened, Usha's mother personally met Mani, realized the misunderstanding, apologized, and left peacefully. Sue witnessed everything. When her plan failed, she took matters into her own hands and ordered Dong to get rid of Mani permanently. Later, Mark and his father visit Mani. Having let go of the past, Mani forgives Mr. Hong and agrees to rebuild a friendship for their son's sake. Filled with guilt, Hong sincerely apologizes to both Manny and Mark. Seeing his parents together again makes Mark happier than he has been in years. He even jokes that their family will soon gain 2 more members. Manny immediately assumes one of them is Jisoo, while Mark teasingly keeps the second person a secret. Afterward, the family walks outside together. Mark goes to get the car. While he is gone, Mr. Hong thanks Manny once again for forgiving him. Suddenly, he notices Dong nearby with a gun aimed directly at her. Without hesitation, Mr. Hong throws himself in front of Mani. A gunshot echoes through the air. The bullet strikes Mr. Hong in the chest. At the same time, Dong panics and calls Sue, revealing that he accidentally shot Mr. Hong while trying to kill Mani. Hearing this, Sue is horrified. Meanwhile, Mark rushes over and desperately tries to save his father. But before help arrives, Mr. Hong dies. Mark is completely devastated. At the same time, Sue pretends to be heartbroken. Her performance is so convincing that Ling comforts her without suspecting a thing. Soon, Jisoo arrives at the hospital. The moment Mark sees her, he breaks down in tears. He says that just when he thought his family was finally becoming whole again, another loved one was taken away. Jisoo comforts him and promises to stay by his side. Meanwhile, Mark's anger turns toward Usha's family. Believing Usha's mother intended to kill Mani, but accidentally killed his father instead, Mark drags Usha home and confronts her mother. Despite her claims of innocence, Mark refuses to believe her and threatens to hand her over to the police. Fortunately, Jisoo and the others arrive in time to stop him. Just then, the police arrive with shocking news. Their investigation points to Dong as the shooter. Everyone is stunned. Meanwhile, Soo becomes terrified because she knows that if Dong is arrested, he could expose her involvement. Soon afterward, Mr. Hong's funeral is held. Many people attend, including Kang and his family. Seeing Pen pay his respects to his grandfather leaves Mark emotional. Later, Usha's parents arrive, filling Mark with anger. At the same time, Mani and Usha's mother begin arguing, while Soo secretly enjoys watching them fight because it keeps suspicion away from her. However, her relief is short-lived. Dong suddenly calls her. Panicking, she makes an excuse and leaves the funeral. Outside, Dong begins blackmailing her. He demands 50 lakh rupees and threatens to surrender to the police if she refuses. He also promises to reveal her role in everything. With no other choice, Soo gathers the money and meets him. After handing over the cash, she tearfully apologizes and says that if he survives, she will be the one who dies. Then she shoots him. Taking the money back, she flees the scene. By the time the police arrive, Dong is already dead. When Mark learns about Dong's death, he feels hopeless. Dong was the only person who could have led him to the mastermind behind his father's murder. Now that lead seems gone forever. Heartbroken, Mark turns to Jisoo. She encourages him not to give up, reminding him that when one path closes, another often appears. Mark is grateful that she continues to stand beside him. Meanwhile, Ling's suspicions about Soo begin growing. On the day Mr. Hong was killed, he saw her talking to Dong. Even stranger, before anyone informed her about the death, she was already crying as if she somehow knew. Later, although she claimed to be nowhere near Dong's murder, Ling noticed bloodstains on her feet when she returned home. These details slowly make him question everything. At the same time, Mark, Jisoo, Liang, Sun, and the police continue investigating. The case becomes difficult because there is no evidence linking Usha's mother to the crimes. Jisoo suggests that the real killer may be deliberately framing her. Later, Mark drops Jisoo home and thanks her for supporting him. Jisoo says she understands his pain because she has also lost someone she loved. Because of that, she promises to stand by him whenever he needs her. As they share an emotional moment, Kang suddenly arrives. Wanting to make Mark jealous, he intentionally pulls Jisoo upstairs with him. Mark watches helplessly because legally, Jisoo is still Kang's wife. Upstairs, Kang finally releases years of frustration. He reminds Jisoo that he waited 4 years for her. He supported her through every hardship, protected her, and even gave Pen his own name. All this time, he had hoped that one day she would truly love him in return. Now, seeing Jisoo growing close to Mark again breaks Kang's heart. He asks what he has gained in return for being such a good man all these years. Jisoo feels guilty because she knows she can never repay everything he has done for her. She sincerely apologizes. But Kang says he doesn't want an apology. Overcome by emotion, he suddenly tries to force himself on her. Despite Jisoo's attempts to stop him, she cannot break free. Fortunately, Mark arrives just in time. He pulls Kang away and punches him, saying that he has no right to force Jisoo into anything. Kang angrily argues that Jisoo is his wife and he has every right. Soon, another fight breaks out. Jisoo finally steps between them and orders Mark to leave. After he goes, she slaps Kang and asks if this is what love means to him. She says that if this is his idea of love, then she regrets ever believing he truly loved her. Her words devastate Kang. He immediately apologizes and leaves. Later, Kang drinks alone while drowning in regret. His father advises him to let Jisoo go, explaining that she will never belong to him because she does not love him. But Kang refuses to accept defeat. His father gently reminds him that love is not a competition. Business has winners and losers, but love depends on fate. Unfortunately, Kang refuses to listen. Meanwhile, Liang tells Jisoo an important truth. After she disappeared 4 years ago, Mark searched for her desperately. Liang also reveals that Usha's father threatened to kill Jisoo if Mark refused to get engaged to Usha. That was the real reason Mark agreed to the engagement. Hearing this leaves Jisoo completely shocked. Elsewhere, Usha secretly buys a pregnancy test. When she takes it, she discovers that she is pregnant. The result stuns her. At the same time, Jisoo's sister follows her husband and discovers that he is secretly involved with his male assistant. The shock causes her to suffer a heart attack, leaving her hospitalized and largely paralyzed. Meanwhile, Ling finds the pregnancy test and quickly realizes that Usha is carrying his child. Panicked, he rushes to confront her, but instead runs into Mark and reveals the truth. Mark is left speechless. Later, Mark and Jisoo visit Jisoo's sister in the hospital. Although Jisoo hasn't forgiven her, she admits that after seeing her condition, she can no longer hate her. Fate has already punished her enough. Meanwhile, Usha lies to Kang and claims that she is pregnant with Mark's child. Believing her, Kang becomes furious and decides to confront Jisoo. Soon, he brings Usha to meet her. Usha claims that Mark wants to divorce her despite her pregnancy. Jisoo calmly asks whether Mark even knows about the baby, or if the child belongs to someone else. The question instantly angers Usha. Just then, Mark arrives. After hearing part of the argument, he asks a simple question. "What baby are you talking about?" Panic immediately spreads across Usha's face. Before she can continue lying, Ling steps forward and reveals the truth. He tells everyone that the baby is his, not Mark's. Even then, Usha stubbornly insists that Mark is the father. Kang is stunned. He finally realizes that Usha has been lying and using him all along. Eventually, Ling takes her away. Later, Ling and Sue reveal the truth to Usha's parents. The news leaves them speechless. Usha's mother urges her daughter to move on and start a new life with Ling, but Usha remains obsessed with Mark. Her parents finally realize how badly they failed to guide her. However, Usha's father still blames Mark for everything. At the same time, Sue continues poisoning his mind, and the two secretly join forces against Mark. Meanwhile, Mark learns that Sue was the one who killed Dong. When Ling discovers the same truth, he is heartbroken. Soon afterward, the police arrive to arrest Sue. Before they can reach her, Ling begs his mother to confess voluntarily and seek a lighter sentence. But Sue refuses. Instead, she manipulates her son one final time and escapes. She immediately goes to meet Usha's father. Unfortunately, Usha's mother secretly follows her. As a result, she uncovers two shocking truths. First, Sue was the woman involved with her husband 20 years ago. Second, she overhears them planning to murder Mark. Terrified, she rushes to warn him. At the same time, Jisoo and Pen are kidnapped by hired thugs. Soon, Mark receives a phone call. Sue tells him that if he wants Jisoo and Pen alive, he must bring 10 crore rupees to a designated location and come alone. Mark immediately begins arranging the ransom. When Sun explains that collecting such a huge amount quickly is impossible, Kang steps forward. Wanting to make up for his mistakes, he offers his full support. Together, they gather the money and head to the location. When Mark arrives, the kidnappers brutally beat him before dragging him inside. Even then, he begs them to release Jisoo and Pen. Before any deal can happen, Usha's father prepares to attack Mark. At that exact moment, the police arrive. A massive shootout breaks out. During the chaos, Sue and Usha's father try to escape with Jisoo and Pen. But while fleeing, they suddenly find Mark, Kang, and Ling blocking their path. Desperate, Sue points a gun at Mark and pulls the trigger. Ling immediately jumps in front of him. The bullet strikes his arm. Seeing her own son injured because of her crimes completely shatters Sue. For the first time, she realizes how many lives she has destroyed. Meanwhile, Usha's father tries to shoot Jisoo. Mark instantly shields her and takes the bullet himself. Watching this, Kang finally understands how deeply Mark loves Jisoo. Soon, ambulances arrive and the criminals are arrested. Thankfully, Mark survives. When Jisoo learns he is safe, she finally breathes a sigh of relief. After the investigation ends, Sue is sentenced to life imprisonment. Although she deserves punishment, Ling remains heartbroken because she is still his mother. Meanwhile, Usha's father asks his wife to arrange bail, but she has finally had enough. She tells him that prison is exactly where he belongs and announces that she is divorcing him. Soon afterward, Jisoo and Kang officially divorce as well. Later, Ling visits Usha. Despite everything she has done, he chooses to forgive her because he truly loves her. At last, Usha realizes how sincere his feelings have always been. The two decide to start over together. Meanwhile, Mark brings Mani to meet Jisoo and Pen. Manny is overjoyed to finally meet her grandson. However, Jisoo worries about how to explain the truth to Pen. Just then, Kang arrives and offers to help. In a gentle and child-friendly way, he explains everything to Pen. As the story unfolds, Pen slowly understands the truth. Finally, he looks at Mark and calls him Dad. Hearing that single word fills Mark with happiness. At that point, Kang quietly prepares to leave, but Mark and Jisoo stop him. They remind him that he can never walk away from Pen because he will always be one of his fathers. No matter what happens, Pen will always have two fathers who love him. Those words bring tears to Kang's eyes. In the end, everyone finally finds peace. Soon afterward, Mark and Jisoo get married. Later, they visit the beach with Pen and promise each other that if life ever tests them again, they will face every challenge together instead of allowing misunderstandings to separate them. And with Mark, Jisoo, Pen, and their loved ones finally reunited and happy, this sweet romantic drama comes to a heartwarming happy ending.